So, speaking of win percentages, this coach has a pretty good win percentage and will be a really good win percentage in the EOAC. The head softball coach of the Lisbon Blue Devils chiming in, Mr. Anthony.
Yeah, Dave Crismon, how you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good. We're happy to have you on to talk some softball on our Softball Thursday, and you guys are looking very good to start the season, especially in the EOAC with that sweep of United earlier this week. Talk about what that meant to this program. I mean, coming into that series, both teams were undefeated in the conference. It was shaping up to be a competitive one, and you guys put your foot on the gas and beat them in 2 games by a combined score of 36-4.
Yeah, the United Lisbon thing, that goes way back. And gosh, they have good softball out there. Our league in general is pretty young this year. So whenever you get some returning kids coming back, especially off of a COVID break like that, you're very thankful. So we had saw what they were doing, but it was a year that we didn't get to play them. So some of these kids weren't even on the field 2 years ago. So it's an eye-opener. And so we went in there just knowing that it was going to be a battle. And fortunately, our kids really stepped up. I felt like we come out of the gate strong. We've got some kids that are pretty high-caliber players as far as hitting goes. And I just felt like the pressure we put on them early kind of affected their young team. But Sam does a real nice job with his group over there.
Coach, you made mention of the COVID year and the lost year for everyone in spring sports. Do you find yourself in a more teachable moment this year than in previous years?
Well, unfortunately, yeah, Ron, because we had some kids that normally put a full slate of travel ball in. Normally we go to the Spano Dome in the winter, and we try to do some stuff there. I mean, that's been most every year since I've been here coaching softball, and we just couldn't do that this year. And so, our pitchers, I didn't feel like they got nearly as many reps as they needed to get. It's just been a real learning curve with that, but we were just super excited to, especially for our 4 seniors, to get back on the field and do some things this year.
I think a lot of people are going to be talking about your offense this year, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I want to talk about Emma Thompson in the circle because she came into that United series. I mean, United scored 39 runs in their first 3 games, and she shut down that Eagle offense that whole game on Monday. What have you seen from her in the circle so far this year?
She's doing a great job. She's doing what a senior should do. Classic example, last night we played just probably the best team in the area in softball, talking about Ursuline. And you know what? It was a tough game for us, but she battled through the whole thing. I was so proud of her in doing that. And, going into the United Series, our seniors were hyped. They knew that not only is it a rival, but, it's a league game. We are the reigning EOAC champs, and we want to try to keep hold of that. And she knew going in that that first game of the 2-game set was going to be a big one. And I thought she responded really well.
Coach, I know yesterday you guys took a really large step up, taking on Ursuline, and it didn't fare very well for you folks, but that certainly prepares this softball team for the rest of the season in terms of the caliber of competition you'll see from the EOAC.
Yeah, we try to schedule up with our non-leagues, and we're playing Marlington Saturday, play Springfield tonight. We have McDonald on the schedule. We actually are going over to Akron, playing Cuyahoga Heights and Berkshire, and then we've got another game with Ursuline in a couple of weeks. So we try to view it as a learning experience. We want to see the best pitching that we can see. And, you're just not going to do that by scheduling down. So we try to schedule up and see what happens.
In that game last night, I mean, like you talked about Emma Thompson battling. One of the things I saw, I mean, you can take little things from that game, and one of the best things was I think Julian Utter came up, who's one of the best hitters in that Ursuline lineup with runners on base, and Thompson was able to strike her out. Little things like that you can take and say, hey, you had this really good at bat, this really good sequence of pitches. When you look at a game like that, is that something you can do as a coach with your players and take a little things from a game like that and say, we did this well, try to take positives from a game that maybe doesn't go the way you want run wise?
For sure. We talked about that in the dugout after the game. Going in, that it's a huge mountain to climb. But, when we looked at those first two innings, we jump on the board first. We're thrilled about that. And then, they pieced together, it had to be 8 or 9 straight hits, and these are legitimate hits. And, she's hitting her spots. So sometimes you got to tip your hat and say, okay. The only disappointment I really had about last night was the fourth inning where I felt like we threw the ball around 7. I have not went 7 innings with anyone. We didn't quite reach that goal. But, we are taking these things, and we're going to try to take those things that we can learn from our at-bats against quality pitchers like Holland and, like you said, piece it together every night and just try to get better each and every day. Because going into tournament play, we want to be playing our best softball.
Coach Anthony and I were talking about the tournaments, and I'm hoping that softball is going to take a page from baseball and a page from all the other sports where 2 districts will combine into one, because if and when that happens, oh my goodness, is this going to be a loaded tournament, especially with all the talent that we have softball-wise in this area. Is this going to be a reality, Coach? Do you know?
Well, I get on the OHSAA site all the time, and what I'm seeing on there is a super district of 24 teams, Northeast 1 and 2, very similar to basketball that I saw. And then we're going to have another district that's going to be closer to Cleveland. And out of those 24 teams in the D4, which is where we will be, there's some really good ones. So I kind of like the format. I wasn't sure going into basketball that I would like it. I ended up liking it. I think you have more choices than you did before. And, I just think it makes the game better. And it's going to help teams, probably plot their course a little more so than they would have before.
Coach, we got to talk about Justice Vrabel for a second. I mean, I've seen her hit 2 home runs already in the 2 games I've been to. She has the OHSAA tied the record in her freshman year for most home runs in a game with 4 against East Palestine. What a hitter, what a family. Talk about what it's like coaching her and some of the things that she brings to the team.
Yeah, just a super family. Known them now for several years. Got the pleasure of coaching Justice's older sister, Kennedy, who's playing for YSU now. And just a softball family. They do those things. They do the travel ball circuit. They go to the hitting instructors. They do those things, and, they buy in. And Justice is just a phenomenal athlete. I'm just glad, that she has chosen softball as one of her sports, because there could be many for her. But, her approach is awesome. I think she's a very confident hitter. And then when she gets rolling, you're almost banking on a hit. And just finding the spot that's appropriate for her in the lineup is going to be my biggest chore, as eventually as she gets even more comfortable, she gets that stroke down even more so, because we're just in Game 6. She could even drop down into that 3 spot and really help us RBI-wise. But, it's a nice weapon to have, no doubt about it.
It's really, interesting putting her up at the 1 spot. You see that a lot in Division I colleges where they put their best hitter up at number 1 so teams can't really decide to pitch around them because no one wants to lead off the inning with a walk. I kind of like the fact that you've taken one of your better hitters and you put her up in the leadoff spot to set the tone early, and you did it against Ursuline. She hit a leadoff home run. Talk about what went into trying to find a spot in her lineup, and how much do you like her in the leadoff spot?
Well, I'm starting to really like it. She's probably our fastest kid as well, and a single turns into a double with her, and that's a nice commodity to have. And then I got our little catcher, Katie Clark. She does a nice job at the plate as well, and she's also an excellent bunter if we needed that. Maya Emmerling's really picking up the slack in the 3-hole, as far as an RBI goes in most cases, especially in the United Series. So, and then McKenna Daly kind of covers Maya. So it's really hard to pitch around going through that first 4 or 5. So, I'm liking it as long as we put together consistent at-bats. We always try to teach them to have a plan when you go up there, and especially as a leadoff hitter, that's not always an easy thing to do. It's kind of a pressure-packed spot, but she's adapting really well.
Coach, take a quick scouting report of the EOAC. Obviously, Columbiana is going to be the public enemy number one for your program as we move forward. Are there any other teams that you're looking at that could be a potential roadblock for Lisbon this year?
Well, in the past, East Palestine has always put a really good team on the field, and I know they're young this year. I don't know a ton about them. So, but we try to respect everybody, like a United. Letonia has, they played Columbiana to a 6-2 score, so they've got to be good. And, defensively, and they're doing some things right. I know Southern is down a little bit with numbers, but I know the coach over there, Coach Boyle, does an excellent job. And then, of course, Columbiana. And, I know those girls. I know those athletes. And it's going to be interesting coming down the stretch. League games are, obviously important when you've got your sights on a league title. So we're just trying to take them a game at a time and get prepared. And every Monday and Tuesday, just plan on going to war. So
you certainly know the Columbiana girls really well. I'll say that much.
Yes, I do.
Let's. Tonight you guys are playing Springfield, and Springfield's a team that's coming off of the split with Middle Ridge. Both exciting games. Their offense is very high caliber. They scored 18 runs in those 2 games. What kind of things are you expecting tonight for your team to bounce back over the game against Ursuline?
Well, that is the key, Anthony, is bounce back. When you're dealing with high school kids and just their whole mentality. We talk a lot about defending the home field, and trying to get back on track is going to be key to me. I think we got to get out of the gate. We got to try to flex a little muscle offensively. I'm going to pitch a freshman to start out tonight, and then see how that goes. But the other 2 are always on call. And, they're a good team. Coach McKinstry does an excellent job. Doesn't matter what sport he's coaching. So, his kids are going to be prepared. They're going to be ready, and they're going to be fired up. So, we've had some really classic games with Springfield in the past. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting.
One of my favorite things about Lisbon, and coming from a Letonia grad, I love the same small town just support that the village of Lisbon gives its athletic department and the high school kids, whether it's football, basketball, whatever sport. And in any sport, they're always going to be front and center cheering on their Blue Devils. And I would imagine that it's more of the same when Lisbon's playing a home game. You got lots of people cheering on the Blue Devils in Lisbon.
Oh, it's phenomenal. We were a little worried with COVID how that was all going to shake out, but the other night against United, we had the field circled with lawn chairs, so it's fun to see. Our fans are great. The people here in this community have backed our program, but like you said, they back all the programs. Just excellent community to teach and coach in, we hope we can go out there and perform to the level of their expectations each and every night.
We've talked about Emma Thompson, but before we let you go, I want you to kind of highlight your other seniors and give them their moment to shine, if you will, and what they bring to your program and how special they've been to coach.
Well, this group, Tri-T, I coached them when they were in 7th and 8th grade. We did a couple summer routes with them. I knew they were going to be a special group. They're invested. Emma Thompson, Taylor DeLand, who's our center fielder. She also did some pitching for us, especially earlier in her career. Mallory Gallo is our left fielder, just solid, covers a ton of ground out there. And, of course, Emma Thompson. And then, Katie Clark is a story unto herself. She's had 2 hip surgeries as a 18-year-old, and she's coming off of one, and she's probably in the 6th month of that right now, and we didn't even know if we were going to have Katie. And just a tribute to her and just her whole mentality and approach. She's going to go to Muskingum and play, and she just like, yeah, Coach, I want to have my senior year. And I was so excited to know that I was going to have her back, because she is just a human wall back there behind the plate. Never had in my 26 years a catcher that blocks like that. I've had some really good catchers, but she is by far the best blocker that I've ever seen. But, yeah, I'm excited for those girls, and it's been awesome to have them be part of something that I love and I know that they love as well. We're just hoping the year turns out great for them.
Well, Coach, I can't wait to see the 2 games that you play against Columbiana. So we'll look forward to that, and just look forward to seeing the success of this program. And hopefully Lisbon's playing some great softball going into the brand new, ever-expanded tournament, which will be straight crazy, like all these tournaments have been since the change provided by the OHSAA. Congratulations on a really good start to this point, and best of luck to you throughout the campaign, sir.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for having me on, and go Blue.
There you go. All right, there is the head softball coach of the Lisbon Blue Devils. Their blue is a little bit lighter than the blue that is worn by the
I got the color, I'm rocking it.
Yeah, you have the Lisbon blue on that hat.